I never planned for this to happen. I never planned to fall in love with someone who was already taken. It wasn't some grand, dramatic scheme. It was slow, insidious. It started in the most ordinary place imaginable, the office. It began with small talk by the coffee machine, casual conversations that were just a welcome break from the monotony of spreadsheets and deadlines. We'd complain about the same difficult clients, celebrate the small victories, and just talk. These weren't earth-shattering conversations, but they were easy, comfortable. With him, the air just felt lighter. Then came the late nights. We were both working on a huge project, buried under a mountain of work. Pizza boxes became our dinner plates, and the hum of the servers became our background music. As the rest of the office emptied out, our little world of two expanded. We weren't just colleagues anymore. We were confidants. He'd tell me about his frustrations, the pressures he felt, not just at work, but elsewhere. I'd share my own dreams, the ones I rarely spoke of. In the quiet of those late hours, under the sterile glow of the office lights, we built a connection woven from shared secrets and unspoken understanding. I knew he was with someone. He wore a ring. It was a fact, a solid, unmovable object in the landscape of his life. And I respected that. I really did. I told myself this was just a friendship, a deep one, but a friendship nonetheless. I was just the person he could talk to. I was safe. But feelings don't follow rules. The more time we spent together, the more the lines blurred. A casual touch on the arm lingered a second too long. A look across the meeting room held a meaning no one else could see. My heart would start to race when I saw his name pop up on my phone, and I'd find myself replaying our conversations in my head, dissecting every word, every laugh. I was falling, and a part of me didn't even want to stop it. Then came the night that changed everything. The project was finally over. The team went out to celebrate. The mood was electric, full of relief and triumph. Everyone was laughing, drinking, letting loose. We ended up sitting next to each other, our knees occasionally brushing under the table. Each touch was like a tiny electric shock. Later, as the group thinned out, a few of us decided to head to another bar. Walking down the street, in the cool night air, he reached out and took my hand. It wasn't accidental. It was deliberate, his fingers laced with mine. A perfect fit. My mind was screaming, "This is wrong! Let go!" But my heart just melted. I couldn't pull away. At the next bar, we found a quiet corner. The noise of the crowd faded away. It was just us. He looked at me, his eyes searching mine, and he said, "I feel like I can be my real self with you." And in that moment, all my carefully constructed walls crumbled. He leaned in, and I didn't move. A touch that shouldn't have happened. A moment suspended in time that I knew would shatter everything.
Your voice feels like home, but I can't stay. Loving you means losing my faith. Your whispers in the dark, they pull me apart. How do I stop when you already own my heart?
The next morning, the guilt hit me like a tidal wave. It was suffocating. I replayed every single moment, the weight of his ring, the fact of his life outside of me, pressing down on my conscience. What had I done? What had we done? This wasn't me. I wasn't the kind of person who did this. But then, another feeling crept in, just as powerful as the guilt. A deep, undeniable longing. A desire to feel his hand in mine again, to see that look in his eyes, to exist in that bubble where it was just the two of us. The first mistake had been made. The line had been crossed. And the terrifying truth was, neither of us knew how to go back. I think a part of me didn't even want to. We were living on borrowed time, in moments stolen from the world. Our lives became a series of secret meetings, whispered phone calls late at night, and glances across crowded rooms that held more meaning than 1,000 words. It was a dangerous game, but the thrill was intoxicating. Each time my phone buzzed with his name, my heart would leap into my throat. Every secret touch in a quiet hallway felt like playing with fire, a beautiful, terrifying blaze that threatened to consume everything. We'd meet in secluded spots, places where we could pretend we were just two people in love, without the weight of the world, without the lies that bound us. In those moments, it felt real. It felt right. We created our own little universe, a fragile bubble where only our feelings mattered. We'd talk for hours, sharing dreams and fears we'd never told anyone else. He saw a part of me that I kept hidden, and I saw the man he was behind the facade he presented to the world. It was a connection so deep, so profound, that it made it easy to ignore the reality of our situation. We convinced ourselves that what we had was too special, too pure to be wrong. We were just two souls who had found each other, albeit at the wrong time, in the wrong circumstances. The risk was part of the allure, making every second together feel precious and charged with an energy I'd never known. We were writing our own rules, living a love story in the margins of our real lives. But you can only live in the shadows for so long before the light starts to creep in. Our carefully constructed world began to show cracks. It started with whispers, sidelong glances from people who knew us both. A comment here, a question there, innocent on the surface, but laden with suspicion. People started noticing the coincidences, the times we were in the same place, the subtle shifts in our behavior when we were near each other. The silence that had once been our sanctuary was now filled with unspoken accusations. His wife, a woman I had once considered a friend, started to change. Her friendly greetings became clipped. Her eyes held a new, questioning hardness whenever she looked at me. The tension was suffocating. Every phone call from him became a source of anxiety. He'd tell me about the arguments, the questions he couldn't answer, the growing distance between them. The guilt, which I had managed to push down, began to surface, gnawing at me day and night. I saw the pain I was causing, not just to her, but to him. The joy of our stolen moments was being replaced by a constant dull ache of fear and remorse. I started to look in the mirror and not recognize the person staring back. Was this who I wanted to be? Was this love, this destructive, secretive thing, worth the wreckage it was leaving in its wake? The question echoed in my mind, over and over. Is a love that's built on lies and causes so much pain truly love at all? I was standing at a crossroads, and I knew, deep down, that a choice had to be made, a choice that would change all of our lives forever. We thought our secret was safe, a world built just for two, hidden in the shadows. But secrets have a way of finding the light. It wasn't a dramatic confrontation or a tearful confession. It was something small, something careless. A message left on a screen, a photo discovered in a forgotten folder. In that single silent moment, the world we built crumbled to dust. The quiet hum of our life was shattered by the deafening sound of a heart breaking. His, hers, mine. Everyone's. The fallout was immediate and brutal. The air, once filled with whispered promises, was now thick with accusations and unspoken pain. Seeing the devastation in the eyes of those we hurt, it was a mirror reflecting the ugliness of what we had done. There were no more stolen kisses, no more secret smiles. There were only tears, regret, and the heavy weight of consequence. The passion that had once felt so right now felt like a cruel mistake, a fire that had burned down everything in its path. We were standing in the ashes, two strangers who had once known each other's souls. We met one last time, not in our secret spot, but in a place that felt cold and public. The space between us was a chasm of everything we couldn't say. He looked at me, his eyes filled with a sorrow so deep it felt like I was drowning in it. "I have to choose them," he said, his voice barely a whisper. And I understood. His family, his life, the world he belonged to. I was the intruder, the storm that threatened to wreck it all. There was no fight left in me, no plea for him to stay. The love that had once been my everything was now a source of unbearable pain for others, so I chose to disappear. I packed my bags, not just with clothes, but with the memories of us, folding them away like old letters I could never read again. I left the city, left the life that had been intertwined with his, and started over. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Walking away from the person you believe is your other half feels like tearing yourself in two. But sometimes, loving someone isn't about holding on tighter. It's about having the strength to let go, to save them from the damage you're causing, and to save yourself before you're completely lost. Now, I often look back and wonder, if loving someone means causing so much pain to others, is it still love? Or is it just selfishness wearing a beautiful disguise? We tell ourselves it's a grand, epic romance, that our feelings are too powerful to be denied. But when the dust settles, and you see the collateral damage, you have to ask yourself if the price was worth it. Love is supposed to build, to nurture, to heal, but ours only destroyed. And that's a truth I have to live with every day. The greatest act of love I could offer him was to let him go. And the greatest act of love I could offer myself was to learn to live without him. Thank you for listening. If you've ever faced an impossible choice, know that you're not alone.
Your voice feels like home, but I can't stay. Loving you means losing my faith. Your whispers in the dark, they pull me apart. How do I stop when you already own my heart?